Sleep with the fishes? Do they kiss better than your wife?
Why, you...
My name is Harvey Jenkins, and contrary to what you may have heard, this is not the way I like to spend a Saturday night. Tied up in heavy chains at the end of some nameless pier off the French Quarter. Vince Gigante was the captain for the Black Hand, the New Orleans branch of the mob. He was about as smart as the fishes he said I was going to pal around with. I did know his wife, in the biblical way, but I'm pretty sure we used a few chapters they don't teach in Sunday school. It's a long story, and time was the one thing I didn't have much of.
I'm gonna enjoy this carpetbagger.
Carpetbagger. Did the Italians settle New Orleans? I thought it was the French, but I never could tell you Dagos apart. I was from Chicago. My family came from all over. My grandfather was a prospector out west, but my father had been a United States agent. I moved down to the Confederate States after things went bad in the Windy City. But that's another story. I was pushing 40 now and been in New Orleans the better part of a stormy decade. The Black Hand had been here a few years longer, but still hadn't shed their New York roots. Vince still wore New York pinstripe and wingtip shoes straight off of Fifth Avenue.
Before you take the big sleep, tell me where it is.
New Orleans? It's the last reb city at the end of the crapshoot called the Mississippi. They don't teach you geography in New York. He hit like a ton of bricks wrapped in iron. I felt marbles rolling around in my skull. I didn't want to give him the satisfaction of knowing that, though, so I gave him my best smile.
Don't be a wise ass. You don't want to go to hell being a wise ass, do you?
What makes you think I'm going to hell, Vince? You going first. Sending an invite.
Adultery's a sin, Jenkins. Guess you should have kept yourself a private dick.
That's funny, boss.
I guess dancing the horizontal hula with Vera wasn't the smartest thing I'd done. I didn't even know how I let it happen. She was all doe-eyed and innocent when she was asking for my help. Things didn't end up that way a few nights later. And the tussle we took, hell, it was almost worth this soggy nap I was about to get.
It don't matter. Without you around mucking things up, no one's gonna pay attention anyways. Ain't that right, O'Reilly?
Sure as spit, Vince, sure as spit. You and your brother own this town as far as I'm concerned.
You're gonna be the dime novel stereotype for crooked cops, Mick.
What does that mean, Gumshoe?
Now read a book, you red-haired potato-eating bat. I'd stalled all I could. I didn't have a plan. The stink of the Mississippi was in my nose, and soon it'd be in my lungs. I had one last play.
Enough of this. In you go.
Hold on, big fella. Don't you want to know where the treasure is?
Treasure? Pfft. You're stalling.
For once, he was right. Jean Lafitte's treasure. Enough to buy every crooked cop in this entire Reb City and still have enough left over to impress your friends back in the Big Apple. The North and the South had split over 50 years ago into the USA and the CSA, but the crime families, they were international. The major families were in New York, parceling out any place that showed a little prosperity ever since. Squeezing the Big Easy was one of their more recent plays. The Genovese crime family had appointed Silvestro Silver Dollar Sam Corolla as prince of this little fiefdom. Vince Gigante and his brother Joey were their enforcers.
Pirate gold. That's your play to get out of this jam? You must think I'm really stupid of.
I think you're a prince, Vince. But that gold's real. I saw some of it with my own eyes. But the mooks who had it ran into the Scapellis and that creep Mortis they got working for 'em. Heard he double-crossed 'em and wiped out the whole bunch. Vince's square-jawed face screwed up and his eyes grew narrow. I'd hit a nerve. I started working that nerve like a Shan-Fan massage girl. I hear the leader of that crew was down on his knees crying for mercy when Mortis did something really nasty to him. Black magic nasty.
That was my brother, you moke!
That explained a lot. Like where the gold really was and how Vera knew about it. I played the wrong angle. Vince was pissed.
Goodbye, Harv. Owen. Say hi to Joey for me, you piece of...
was in a real jam. The muddy old bloody stank of fish oil and ghost rock runoff from docks and canneries upstream. I fought it as long as I could, but I felt it hit my lungs before my feet ever hit the slime of the river bottom. I shook and struggled, felt one of the chains loosen as I dislocated my shoulder. Maybe I'd make it. Saw Vera's face. The poor kid was trapped. She was going to wind up down here next to me if I didn't shake these chains. Felt another loop slip. I was almost free. I thought back to how all this started, just like one of those sleazy dime novels. A dame with legs up to heaven walks into my office trailing musk and money. I never could turn down a damsel in distress. One more length of chain to go, but it was wrapped around my leg like old debt. It wasn't coming off. It was dark down here. My mind's eye, I could see the big, ugly mug of Vince Gigante and that crooked cop O'Reilly staring down at me from the dock. But it was all in my head. It was night, and the river was as dirty as the cops. There was nothing left to see but the doorway to hell. I couldn't even see the damn fishes. And then I died.